Good morning, Grand Canyon friends. Welcome. Happy Monday. Today is February 8th, 2021. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to close your eyes for me for a second, okay? Imagine the year is 1960. You are in first grade. You are the only African American student in your school. People are angry that you are there. They yell at you, they want to hurt you. It's so dangerous, you have to have guards walk you in and out of school. You're in a classroom all alone by yourself with the teacher. You have no friends with you. You can't eat in the NPR with your friends. You can't play at recess with your friends. You can't even use the same bathroom as your friends. Go ahead and open your eyes. How do you think you would feel if that's the kind of school life that you experience? Well, Ruby Bridges in 1960 was that girl, a first grader alone in a school full of white children that she was not allowed to play with. Not too long ago, children that had Black skin, African Americans, were not allowed to go to the same school as children who had white skin. Now that has changed today. Today we are all able to come to school together no matter what color of skin we have, and that is because of Ruby Bridges. Ruby Bridges was a very, very brave girl that changed the way we are able to come to school in the United States of America. So I want to take a minute to show you a picture of her when she was little, and I'm going to let you hear from her about her experience on those first days going to a white public school as the only African American. She now works with teaching children about history because she wants to make changes. She wants to make sure that people are not treated differently just because of what they look like. February is Black History Month, and that is what we are going to be talking about this week. Here is a picture of Ruby Bridges when she was a little girl, and she was 6 years old in first grade, being brave, going to a new school where she could be with friends of any color. Hopefully you can see my video. We're going to hear from Ruby Bridges herself. She is still alive. She is 65 years old. And here is her telling her experience of when she was in first grade in 1960. Let me turn up my volume so you can hear it.
So that particular day, when I was in the car being escorted to school, when we turned the corner, the streets were lined with protesters, and they were barricaded because that's how the police had set it up. There were policemen everywhere. I remember being escorted straight to the principal's office. I guess I was there to be escorted to my classroom, possibly meet my teacher, and to get started with my studies. But I sat in the principal's office actually all day with my mom that day, and I remember the federal marshals standing right outside the doors. You could see them. You know, there were glass windows. And the next thing that I saw was all of those people that had been standing outside rushing in, shoving and pushing and pointing at me through the windows. Their faces seemed very angry about something. Just seemed really busy and confusing to me. And I saw them pass the window, and when they would come back by the window, there were kids with them. And that happened all day long, back and forth. Finally, the bell rang. It was 3 o'clock, and I remember someone entering the room and saying, "School is dismissed. You can leave." And I distinctly remember that because I thought to myself, wow, this school is easy. Not knowing that what was really happening is that parents rushed into the school and went into every classroom and pulled out every child. There were over 500 kids that actually left the building that day, and it was because I was there. So I had no idea that that was taking place right before my eyes. The second day, once I returned, I remember being escorted into the building, and the building seemed very different. It was so quiet. You could hear a pin drop. There was no one moving around. I didn't hear any kids. But I remember getting to the top of the stairs and someone saying, "Your class is down the hall." And the federal marshals turning me around and walked me down the hall to this classroom. And once I got there, the door opened and this woman stepped out. And she said, "Hi, my name is Mrs. Henry. I'm your teacher." And I remember looking at her and thinking, she's white. So I was not accustomed to seeing a white teacher. And she did look exactly like the people outside that were screaming and yelling and seemed really angry about something. And so much was going on outside that I didn't really know what to expect from her. But I soon learned that she was an amazing teacher. She became my best friend. I knew that she cared about me. We did amazing things in school. But I remember the questions that I would ask her was about why I didn't see any kids. Now that was very strange for me because I was accustomed to school. And like any 6-year-old, the most important thing to our babies is having friends. But as time went on, I would hear kids. Then I would mention it to Mrs. Henry. "Mrs. Henry, I hear kids." And she would never say anything. I thought she was ignoring me when really what she was doing is going to the principal and saying that you are breaking the law. The law's changed and kids can be together now, but you're hiding them from Ruby. If you don't allow them to come together with Ruby, I'm going to bring you to the superintendent. And I think that forced them to allow me to interact with those other kids. And so I'll never forget that day. They were not allowed to come to my classroom, but Mrs. Henry would bring me to where they were. And I remember the very first day that happened, I was just filled with joy because I sort of felt like I'd finally found some friends. But I have to say that is the day that I really got a very rude awakening. And because that's when a little boy said, "I can't play with you. My mom said not to play with you because you're a nigger." And when he said that, even at 6, I felt like this huge weight lifted off my shoulders because I had spent so much time trying to figure it all out. Like, where were the kids? Why I was the only kid in the school? Why it seemed so different? And finally he said it, that it was all because of me and the color of my skin. He made it all make sense. That was an eye-opening moment for me. Because that old saying about, you have to know where you come from to know where you're going is very, very true, which is why history is so important.
Okay, friends, let's go ahead and stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead and put your right hand on your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me for a moment of silence. All right, friends, I hope you reflect on what we've heard and learned about Ruby Bridges and heard from her today. We will talk more tomorrow about Black History Month. Have a great Monday. I will see you then.